We could just put them up on the screen, right? Let's just do our Ishopanishad. Did somebody tell me we want Sri Ishopanishad? One more time. Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishishyate Ishyavasyam Idang Sarvam Yatkinja Jagatyam Jagat Tena Tyaktena Bunjita Magradhakasya Siddhanam Kurvane Karmani Jijivi Shakshatam Samaha Evam Tvainanyate Tosti Nakarma Lipite Nare Asurya Namate Loka Antena Tamasavritaha Tamste Pritya Bigachanti Ye Ke Chatma Hano Janaha Ane Jadikam Manaso Javio Naina Deva Abnuvan Purvanarshat Tadhavato Jnanat Yeti Tishtat Tashminapo Matadishva Dadati Tadejati Tanaijati Tadure Tadvantike Tadantarasya Sarvasya Tadhu Sarvasya Bhayataha Yastu Sarvani Bhutani Atmani Vanupashyati Sarva Bhuteshu Chatmanam Tato Na Vijagupsate Yasmin Sarvani Bhutani Atmaivadbud Vijanataha Tatra Ko Mohakashoka Ekatvamanupashyataha Saparya Gachu Kramakairam Avranam Asnavidham Shudham Papavidham Kavir Manishi Paryabu Swayambur Yatat Yatyatortan Vyadadashasvati Vyasamabhyaha Andantama Pravishyanti Ye Vidyam Upasate Tato Bhuya Ivate Tamo Ya Uvidyayam Rataha Anyareva Hurvidyaya Anyadahura Vidyaya Iti Shushu Madhiranam Yenasta Vichichakshire Vidyam cha yas Tadvedo Bayam Saha Avidyayam Ratum Tirtva Vidyayam Ratum Ashnute Andantama Pravishyanti Ye Sambutim Upasate Tato Bhuya Ivate Tamo Yau Sambhutyam Rataha Anyareva Hursambhavad Anyarahura Sambhavad Iti Shushu Madhiranam Yenasta Vichichakshire Sambhutim Cha Vinasham Cha Yastad Vedo Bhayam Saha Vinashena Mrityum Tirtva Sambhutyam Mrityum Ashnute Hiranmayena Patrena Satyasya Pihitam Mukham Tattvam Pushana Pavranu Satyadharmaya Drishtaye Pushane Karshe Yamasurya Prajapatya Vyuharasmin Samuha Tejo Yate Rupam Kalyanatamam Tate Pashyami Yosavasau Purusha Sohamasmi Vayura Nilamamratam Atedam Bashmantam Shariram Om Kratos Smara Kritam Smara Kratos Smara Kritam Smara Agnenaya Supataraya Sman Vishvani Deva Vayunani Vidvan Yuyodyasmaschuhadana Meno Bhuyishtam Te Nama Uktim Vidhema Shri Ishapanishad Sampurnam Hari Om Vacho Vegam Manasa Krodha Vegam Jihva Vegam Udarapasta Vegam Etan Vegam Yo Vishaheta Dhira Sarvam Api Mam Pritivim Sashishyad Atyahara Prayashascha Prajalpo Niyamagraha Jana Sangascha Lalyam Cha Shadbhir Bhakti Shiti Utsahan Nischayad Dharyat Tat Tat Karma Pravartanat Sangatyagat Shatovrate Shadbhir Bhakti Prasidyati Dadati Pratagunati Kuhyamakyati Prishyati Bhunkte Bhojayate Chaiva Shadvidam Priti Lakshanam Krishneti Yasya Kiritam Manasadriyeta Dikshasti Che Pranati Bisha Bhajantamisham Shushushaya Bhajana Vigna Mananya Manya Nindari Shunya Hridamhi Psita Sangalabhya Drishtai Sabhava Janitarva Pushascha Doshar Na Prakritavamiha Bhaktya Danasya Pashyed Gangam Nasam Nakalu Buddha Pena Pankar Brahma Dravavamapagachati Niradharmai Syat Krishna Nama Charitari Sitapta Vidya Pito Patapta Rasanasya Narochakanu Kintva Varad Anudilam Kalusaiva Jushta Swadvikramad Bhavati Tad Gadamula Hantri Tannama Rupa Charitari Sikirtananu Smrityo Kramena Rasana Manasi Niyoja Tishtam Vrajetananuragi Jananugami Kalam Nayeda Kilamit Upadesha Saram Vaikuntajjanito Varamadupuri Tatrapiratsotsavad Vrindaranya Mudara Paniramana Tatrapi Govardhanaha Radha Kunnamihapi Gokulapate Premamrita Lavanad Kuryarasya Virajato Giritate Sevam Vavekinakaha Karmibhya Parito He Priyataya Vyaktim Nyanyoninas Tebhyo Jnana Vimukta Bhakti Parama Emaika Nishtastata Tebhyasta Pashupala Pankadadrishas Tabhyopi Saradhika Preshta Tadvidyam Tadiya Sarasa Tam Nashrayat Kakriti Krishnasyo Chai Pranayavasati Priyasibhyo Piradha Kundam Chasya Munibhirabhitasthadrageva Vyadayi Yat Preshter Apyalam Asulabham Kim Punar Bhakti Bhajam Tat Premedam Sakrit Api Sarasnatur Avishkaroti Shri Upadeshamrita Sampurnam Radhe Shyam Vyasuvacha Iti Samprashna Samhrishto Vipranam Romaharshini Pratipuja Vachastesham Pravaktum Upachakrame Sutuvacha Yam Pravajantam Anupetam Apeta Krityam Dvaipayano Viraha Kartara Ajuhava Putreti Tanmataya Taravo Binedus Tam Sarva Bhuta Hridayam Munim Anatosmi Yaksvanubhavam Akila Shuti Saramekam Adhyatmadhipamatitirshatam tamondham Samsarinam karunayaha puranakuyam Tam vyasasunubapayami gurum muninam Narayanam namaskritya Naram chaiva narottamam Devim sarasatim vyasam Tato jayam udirayed Munayak sadhu prishtoham Bhavad birloka mangalam Yakrita Krishna samprashno Yenatma suprasidhati Savai pumsam paro dharmo Yato bhakti radhoksaje Ahaitu kiya pratiyata Yayatma suprasidhati Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayat Yashu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yadahaitukam Dharma Swanushtita Pumsam Vishvaksena Katasuya Notpadayed Yadiratim Shrama Eva Hikevalam Dharmasya hyapavargasya nartortayo pakalpate nartasya dharmaikantasya kamolabhaya hismitaha kamasya nendriya pritir labo jivete yavata yugasya datma jignasya narto yashcheha karmabhi Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yajnanamadvayam Brahmeti paramatmeti Bhagavaniti shabdyate Tashadadana munayo Jnana vairagya yuktaya Pashyantyatmani chadmanam Bhaktya shuta grihitaya Atapumpir dvija shreshta Varnashrama vibhagashaha Shvanustistasya dharmasya Samsadir haritoshanam Tasmadekena manasa Bhagavan sattvatam patihi Shotavya kirtitavyascha Jaya pujascha nityada Yad anudyasina yukta Karma granti nibandhanam Chindanti kovidastasya Ko nakuryat kataratim Shushusho shudadanasya Vasudeva kataruchihi Syan mahat sevaya vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanad Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridyantaksto Hyabhadrani Vitunoti Suhritsatam Dashtapraesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Tada Rajastamo Bhava Kamaloba Dayashjaye Cheta Iter Anavidham Sitam Sattve Prasidhati Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sanghasya Jayate Vidyate Hridaya Grantish Chijante Sarva Samshaya Shiyante Chasya Karmani Krishna Eva Manishvare Ato Vai Kavayo Nityam Bhaktim Paramaya Muda Vasudeve Bhagavati Kurvantyatma Prasadanim Sattvam Rajastama Iti Prakriter Gunaistar Yukta Para Purusha Eka Ihasya Dhate Stityadaye Harivarinshi Hareti Samdhya Sheyamsi Tatra Kalu Sattvatanonranam Syuhu Parthivadarano Dhumas Tasmad Agnistrayimayaha Tamasastu Rajastasmad Sattvam Yad Brahmadarshanam Pejure Munayo Tagre Bhagavantam Batoksajam Sattvam Vishuddham Shemaya Kalpante Yenutan Iha Mumukshavo Ghora Rupan Hitva Bhuta Patinata Narayana Kalashanta Bhajanti Hyanasuyava Rajastama Prakritaya Samashila Bhajanti Vai Pitrir Bhuta Pajeshadin Shri Aishvarya Prajapsavaha Vasudeva Paraveda Vasudeva Paramaka Vasudeva Parayoga Vasudeva Parakriyaha Vasudeva Param Jnanam Vasudeva Param Tapaha Vasudeva Paro Dharmo Vasudeva Paragatihi Sa evedam sasarjagre Bhagavana Mamayaya Sarasadrupaya Chaso Gunamaya Guno Vibhu Taya Vilashite Shreshu Guneshu Gunavaniva Antak Pravishta Abhati Vijnanena Vrajimbritaha Yataya Vihito Vanir Darushveka Swayonishu Na Babhati Vishvatma Bhuteshu Chatatapuman Asau Gunamayer Bhaver Bhuta Sukshmendriyatmabhi Swanirmiteshu Nirvishto Punkte Bhuteshu Tadgunan Bhavayat Yesha Satvena Lokan Vai Lokabhavana Lila Vataranurato Devatiryan Naradishu Om Tat Sariti Srimad Bhagavate Mahapurane Paramahamsyam Samitayam Pratamaskande Naimishio Prakyane Dvitiyo Dhyayaha Hari Om. Chaitanya Charitamrita for the close. Vande Gurun Isha Bhaktan Isham Ishavatarakan Tat Prakasham Tat Shakti Krishna Chaitanya Samdyakam Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanandau Sahoditau Gaudau Dai Pushpavantau Chitro Shandau Tamonudau Yadadvaitam Brahmopanishadi Tadapyasya Taruba Ya Atmantaryami Purusha Iti Shosham Sabhivavaha Shadaishvaryai Purno Yaiha Bhagavan Saswayamayam Chaitanyach Krishna Jagati Paratatvam Paramiha Anarpata Chirim Chirat Karunaya Vatirna Kalau Samarpayitum Unoto Jvalarasam Sabhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundara Duti Kadamba Sandipitaha Sadaraya Kandare Spuratu Vasachinandana Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Hladini Shakti Rasmad Ekat Manav Api Bhuvi Pura Deha Bhedam Gatov Tau Chaitanyakyam Prakatunam
Bhavadyuti Suvalitam Nami Krishna Swarupam Shri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kiddisho Vanayeva Swadyo Yena Buddha Madhurima Kiddisho Vamadiya Saukyam Chasya Mad Anubhavata Kiddisham Vedilopat Tad Bhavadya Samajani Shachi Garba Sindhu Harindu Sankarshana Karana Toya Shahi Garbo Dashahi Chapayobdishahi Sheshascha Yasyam Shakala Sanitya Nandakya Rama Sharanam Mamastu Mayatite Vyapi Vaikuntha Loke Purneshware Shri Chaturvyuha Madhye Rupam Yasyudbhati Sankarshanakyam Tam Shri Nityananda Ramam Prapadye
Maya Bharata Janda Sangashrayanga Shete Sakshat Karanam Bodhi Madhye Yasyai Kamsha Shri Puman Adi Devas Tam Shri Nityananda Ramam Prapadye Yasyam Shamsha Shila Garbhodashayi Yanabhyabjam Loka Sankhatanalam Loka Shrastu Sutika Dhamadatus Tam Shri Nityananda Ramam Prapadye Yasyam Sham Sham Sha Paratma Kilanam Poshta Vishnur Bhati Tugdabdishahi Shauni Bharata Yatkala Sopyanantas Tam Shri Nityananda Ramam Prapadye Mahavishnu Jagatkarta Maya Yaya Srajatyada Tasyavatara Evayam Advaita Charya Ishvara Advaitam Harina Dvaitad Acharyam Bhakti Shamshanad Bhaktavataramisham Tam Advaita Charyam Ashraye Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Jayatam Suratau Pangor Mama Manda Matirgati Matsarvaswapadam Bojau Radha Madana Mohanau Divya Vrindaranya Kalpa Drumadha Srimad Ratnagara Singhasanastau Srimad Radha Shila Govinda Devo Heshtali Bi Sevyamanau Smarami Shriman Rasa Rasadambi Vamshivata Tatastitaha Karshan Venu Swaner Gopir Gopinatha Shriyestunaha. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda 18 Thakur Gauriyaki Kariyachena Atmasad 18 Nera Charan Vando Tine Morna Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai Shri Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Haribol Bajre Bajre Ama Manati Manda Bajre Bajre Ama Manati Manda Bhajan Vinagati Naire Bhaja Braja Bane Radha Krishna Charanaravinda Jnana Karma Parihadire Bhaja Braja Bani Radha Krishna Bhaja Gaura Gadadhara Dvaita Guru Nityananda Bhaja Gaura Gadadhara Dvaita Guru Nityananda Gaura Krishna Abhida Janere Guru Krishna Preshte Janere Smara Srinivas Haridas Murari Mukunda. Got to get the Smara part. Smara Srinivas Haridas Murari Mukunda. Smara Smara Srinivas Haridas Murari Mukunda. Gaura Preme Smara Smara Re Smara Srinivas Haridase Smara Rupa Sanatana Jiva Raghunatha Dvandva. Two Raghunaths. Smara Rupa Sanatana Jiva Raghunatha Dvandva Smara. Krishna Bhajan Jari Kobire. Rupa Sanatane Smara. Smara Raghava Gopala Bhatta Swarup Ramananda Smara. Smara Raghava Gopala Bhatta Swarup Ramananda Smara. Krishna Prema Jari Chayore. Swarup Ramanande Smara. Smara Goshti Sahakarna Pura Saint Shivananda Smara. Smara Goshti Sahakarna Pura Saint Shivananda Smara. Get ready now. Ajashra Smara Smara Re. Remember, always remember. Goshti Sahakarna Pure Smara Rupa Nuga Sadhu Jana Bhajana Ananda Smara. Smara Rupa Nuga Sadhu Jana Bhajana Ananda Smara. Braje Basjari Chaore Rupa Nuga Sadhu Smara. Ajashra Smara Smara Re. Ajashra Smara Smara Re. Jaya Vaishnav Thakur, Vaishnav Thakur, Vaishnav Thakur, Jaya Vaishnav Thakur. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Ajasra Smara Smara Re. Ajasra Smara Smara Re. Ajasra Smara Smara Re. Go Premanande Nitai Gora Haribo 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 Tai Gaur Haribo. Krishna Ji ka naam hai. Ding, ding, Krishna Ji ka naam hai. Gokula Ji ka dham. Let me get my beat down. Krishna Ji ka naam hai. Gokula Ji ka dham hai. ऐसे श्री भगवान को मेरे बारंबार प्रणाम है. यशोदा जी का मैया है. नंद जी पपैया है. ऐसे श्री गोपाल को मेरे बारंबार प्रणाम है. राधा जी का जया है. अद्भुत जी की माया है. ऐसे श्री घनश्याम को मेरे बारंबार प्रणाम है. Luta luta dadi makan kayo. Wala bala sangha dhenu charayo. ऐसे लीला दाम को मेरे बारंबार प्रणाम है. Drupada Sutta ko lajja bhakshayo. Graha se gaja ko panda chudayo. ऐसे कृपा धाम को मेरे बारंबार प्रणाम है. Kuru Pandava ko Yudhava machayo. Arjuna ko upadesha sunayo. ऐसे दीनानाथ को मेरे बारंबार प्रणाम है. Bajare, hey, Bhaja Govinda Gopala Hare. Bajare, hey, Bhaja Govinda Gopala Hare. Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Gopala, Radhe Gopala Bhajare. Hey, Radha Govinda Gopala Hare. Microphone. Haribo Bhajare. Hey, Radha Govinda Gopala Hare. Radhe Govinda. Radhe Govinda. Radhe Gopala. Radhe Gopala.
Radha Kunja Bihari,
Radha Shama Sundar.
Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Krishna Samasamba.
Hey, there you go. It's all on the screen now.
Kishore Kishori,
Kishore Kishori.
Rukmini Dwarkadish,
Rukmini Dwarkadish.
Radha Damodar, Radha Giridhari, Radha Giridhari,
Radha Damodara,
Radha Rasa Bihari,
Radha Radha Natha.
Radha Nila Madhav,
Radha Ramana.
Radha Vika Giridhari,
Radhe Govinda.
Radha Partha Sarthi,
Radha Pardasati,
Radha Landanishwara, Radha Nila Madhav,
Radha Nila Madhava.
Radha Vrindavan Chanda,
Bhajare. Hey, Radha Govinda Gopala Hare. Hey, Radha Govinda Gopala. Aishe Shri Bhagavana ko mere parambara pranam hai. Aishe Shri Bhagavana ko mere. Aishe Shri Jnana Shama ko mere parambara pranam hai. Aishe Shri Jnana Shama ko mere barambara pranam hai. Go pray Marande. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Bolo
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Haribo Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Haribo Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Yeah.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Next part.
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Rohini. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Neelam. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Go Premanande Haribo.
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Anshu. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shivat.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Bharat. Na Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Balaram. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Again. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Sukeshri. Sukeshri. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Rohini. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Oh, Hare Krishna, Neelam, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, one. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gaur Premanande, Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo. How'd you like doing shlokas again? It's good, right? Nobody else is doing them in Silicon Valley, so we figured we'd pick up the slack. Any other thoughts? Otherwise known as Kuyam Akyati Prichtati. What does it mean? Kuyam Akyati Prichtati. Thoughts? What kind of thoughts?
I don't know.
That's good. Good start. What does it mean? Is it part of a spiritual practice? Could somebody give a commentary? Go ahead. Kayla Kunja Kumari.
I believe it means revealing your heart to devotees and sharing confidentially with them.
What's kuyam?
Secret.
So what's the context for that? What does it mean? Like,
It means telling your secrets between devotees and like sharing your heart in that way with them.
nice.
And that way developing your relationship with intimacy within there.
Does anybody think of any examples from the Shastra of devotees sharing secrets with each other? Go ahead, Gita-priya. No? Okay. What about, yeah? Go ahead.
Krishna and Arjuna.
How do you know that secret?
See the Bhagavad Gita.
What?
The Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita.
I know, how do you know it's secret they're talking about? You can give proof if you like. Raja Vidya Rajaguyam Pavitram Idamuttamam Praktakshavagamam Namnam Susukam Kartamavyam. What does that mean? Anime, what does it mean, that verse?
It's talking about this is the highest of knowledge and it's the most confidential.
Yeah, it's secret, right? Even though we give it out to everybody, it's like an open secret. It's good. Krishna Arjun, who else? Who else was confidential talks, having confidential talks? Yes.
I was thinking of Vidura and Maitreya.
Nice. Say something about what they said. What was the mood? What was happening?
I don't exactly remember the questions, but I remember Vidura was just criticized by his family members in the Kuru assembly, and then he left that place. And as he was just in a sort of slightly confused and bewildered manner, he approached Maitreya and started asking questions.
Nice. Well, who did he approach first? Didn't Vidura go to somebody else first? Who? Uddhava. So why didn't he have all these conversations with Uddhava? Who said? Explain.
Because
Tell the terminology too.
Maryada Vikrama, is that the right?
Maryada Vyatikrama.
Vyatikrama, Maryada Vyatikrama. It's like, because Vidura is elder to Uddhava, and it's better he goes and learns from Maitreya, who's elder than him, than to learn from Uddhava, who is younger to him. So
We show deference to the more venerable sage.
yeah.
Is there another reason? Was he on his way somewhere? Uddhava? Uddhava. Yes, Prabhu, go ahead.
I believe he was on his way to Badrinath.
That's right. Why?
Krishna sent him there to give his instructions and association to the sages there.
Yeah. Nice. So, any other conversations?
Devahuti and Kapila.
Yeah.
And Devahuti wanted to know about how to, how to overcome the attachments in this world, because they appear so strong, and what is the way out.
Yeah.
And then Kapila explained.
It's good to know, right?
Yes, Prabhu. But I have this question about how is that Maryada Vyatakrama is not here in this conversation?
In that conversation?
Means Devahuti is the mother, right?
Yeah.
So the elder and that seniority,
Well,
how do we
it's the
determine?
Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Okay.
I think Krishna and the gopis is another example of confidential talks.
Yeah, definitely. Can you remember what they said?
I don't exactly remember what they said.
Does anybody know? Be good to know, right? Any ideas? What the gopis said or what Krishna said? Somebody knows something who's not telling. Okay, go ahead.
In which context, Maharaj?
Gopis talking to Krishna or Krishna talking to the gopis in any context?
I mean, I was thinking about how when Krishna meets, he meets the gopis after promising to be at the Kunj at a certain time. He comes very late. And there's a description, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives a description of himself scolding Krishna and calling Krishna a debashi and a cheater and a liar. And how the gopis start chastising Krishna, and Krishna, he starts feeling a level of regret that, I'm taking this for granted.
Okay. Somebody give me from a shloka, something that the gopis said. A shloka that everybody here knows that we say regularly. I give one more hint. Go ahead. Tava katam ritam tapta jivanam kavibiriditam kalmashapanam shravana mangalam srimaratanam bhuvi grinantiye buddhidajana. Please come take prasadam. What does that verse mean? Somebody, please give us the best of your recollection of how that goes. Who wants to say? Somebody? Go ahead.
The most munificent people are those who are the devotees of the Lord who go around spreading His glories. I can't remember the beginning.
Just say the words Tava katam vritam tapta jivanam. For the jivas who are suffering in this material world, they take the amrita of the katha of Krishna. It's like the medicine that cures them, right? Tava katam ritam tapta jivanam kavibir. It's spoken by the kavis, the most educated, the most highly learned. Kavibir yiditam kalamashapaham. Shravana mangalam creates auspiciousness. Bhuvi granantiye buddhidajana. Buddhida means somebody who's the most merciful, most beneficent of people are those who go out and distribute it to other people. The gopis say that. So this activity, for instance, of going out on book distribution, back in the 1970s, one of the Sankirtan leader of North America that time was Rameshwar Prabhu, and he was talking about how the mood of book distribution is the same mood of the gopis. And some devotees complained, well, not complained, but they wrote to Prabhupada and said, is this okay, what he's saying? Is it going too far? Like, is that correct? And Prabhupada said, yes, this is the mood of the gopis. Because they're thinking how to bring people closer to Krishna and spreading mercy to people. And so they call it, those who are doing it, the gopis are appreciating those who take the time to spread it to others. Call it buddhidajana. One last confidential talk that you know of. Yes?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had many confidential talks with Srivas Pandit. One particular instance that I remember from the Chaitanya Bhagavat was when Srivas Pandit was lamenting to Mahaprabhu about how the people in the city wanted to throw him away, put his house on the river Ganga, and get him out of Navadvip. It kind of refers to what we were talking about in lecture today. We were talking about how devotees get arrested. So he was expressing that grief to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Nice. And then what happened?
I don't completely remember, but I think Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he told him that he will protect him, and it was the mood was a lot more.
He said the Muslim soldiers are coming, because they're going to come and stop all this. And Mahaprabhu said, well, as a super soul within the heart, I'll tell them not to come, but they disobey me then. When they come here, then I'll challenge them. I'll say, you bring all your mullahs to come and recite Quran, and you can recite them, bring the animals, and you recite Quran and see if you can make their hearts change. Yes. Wait. And then, hold it, we'll bring right back to you. And then he said, and then when there's no effect, then I'll chant Hare Krishna to the animals, and then I'll make even them cry. And we'll defeat them in that way. We'll challenge them. Tell us.
Another confidential talk is with Vyasadeva and Narada Muni.
Can you say more about it? What were they talking about?
Vyasadeva was asking advice from Narada. How can he be more satisfied in what he's doing?
Very, very good.
Thank you.
So how could he get more satisfied? What was the defect? What was the defect? Why did he not feel satisfied? Srila Vyasadeva, why did he not feel satisfied? Oh, go ahead.
Because he wasn't praising Lord Krishna.
Yeah, not directly enough, right?
Yeah, not enough.
What had he written before that? Give a sample of what he had written.
The Mahabharata for the women and young children?
Yeah, I mean pretty much for everybody in this age. And what else did he compile? Yes?
The seven Puranas.
Yeah. Exactly. But it wasn't enough, right? Upanishads, Vedas. So what was the problem was that he hadn't talked directly enough about Krishna. And so, what's wrong with that? Who can say, give some shastra, why it wasn't enough? Yes, Balaram, for 50 points.
For this, you generally quote the verse, I think, Naishkarmyam apyachyuta bhava varjitam nashobhate jnanam.
That's 75 points. Go ahead, keep going. Go ahead. Do the whole thing.
Nashobhate jnanamalam niranjanam kutapuna shashvada bhadram ishware.
The charpita.
Charpitam
Karma.
Karma yadapi karanam. Where anything that doesn't involve Krishna, it's nashobhate. It's not nice unless it involves Krishna, and that it just very bluntly he told Vyasadeva that he should write about Krishna only.
And it's a really nice phrase too. It's because achuta bhava varjita. He said it doesn't have achuta bhava, like that feeling for Krishna. You know that feeling you get, like we go out for a parikrama at Govardhan. We leave early in the morning, and it's just after Mangalartik. You get up early at Govardhan. Mangalartik starts at 4:15, so we have to get up at 2:45 to make it to the Mangalartik and get all the stuff done you need to ahead of time. And then Mangalartik's in that little temple room, and then we have Tulsi Puja. We recite the 10 offenses. Temple president makes a couple announcements, and then we go meet outside the gate. It's still dark, but on holy days there's people, like all kinds of people walking by on the marg. And then you get out and start walking. And then you just feel like you have no other duty to do. Feel some happiness because you're walking in all the places where Krishna had his pastimes, and feel free. And then if you stop somewhere, it's still dark, you get to Govinda Kund. And just around that time, walking for about 50 minutes, you get to Govinda Kund, and just the sun is starting to come up, and there's on the water of Govinda Kund starts to turn scarlet color from the sunrise, and then the parrots come out, and then there's a little temple right next to there with Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, and Gaunitai, and then you just put your head in, and there's some sadhus in there playing kartals, singing the morning tune. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And then you just feel happy. And you get a little achyuta bhava. Just a little drop, from a dropper. Just like, if you can be in the right places throughout your life at the right time and try to serve Krishna in just some simple way, then you get achyuta bhava. Achyuta bhava. And if it doesn't have that, like Balaram Prabhu was talking about this verse, there's no conception of serving Krishna and the sweetness of serving Krishna, then it just, it's not attractive really at all. Nice. Very good. Yes?
Confidential. We share confidential information.
Yes.
When we think of Mahaprabhu's Mahaprakash, he was still revealing personal information to each devotee who came up, but it was happening in an open audience. And the same way, when we walk up, when we sit in a lecture hall and we ask Guru Maharaj something that's from our heart, but it's being done in an open audience, would that fall into the same category, or is it only one-on-one in a more private setting?
Well, it really depends. It's kind of a semi-open audience. Of course, nowadays, you're on Facebook, so all bets are off. But really, it's a safe environment when you're with everybody together. That's why, just say you're in an assembly, there's 50 devotees, and you know everybody. And then all of a sudden, a brand new person walks in for the first time. It's like, you guys probably never know about this, but there's cars that have manual shifts. Do you have one? Okay. You shift down all of a sudden into first gear and start crawling because you can't say the same things. You have to change the kata, for that. And also, just like during the Shukadev speaking the Bhagavatam, they were noticing there were all kinds of sages there. And that's one of the reasons Parikshit Maharaj started asking these questions about the rasa dance. Because he said, yeah, but, isn't this a little bit too much? Because he wanted Shukadev to explain it to some of the people who are thinking like, wait a minute now, how's this about self-realization? Krishna's out dancing with other people's wives and stuff like that. So it really depends on the audience and who's there. It has to be adjusted. The topic has to be adjusted accordingly. And of course, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is with Ramananda Roy and Swarup Damodar, they go into the Gambhira, or it's just totally private, and then, they can speak about the most intimate pastimes and relish in that environment. Otherwise, outsiders can sort of spoil the mood. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted only insiders in Sri Vasangam, because he was developing that Prem Sankirtan with the devotees. But that's part of the miracle, too, of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that he comes in and he just broadcasts it all. Makes it available to everybody in the world, even though, who can understand it. And that's kind of, you see people walking down the street, they've never heard of anything before, and then somebody grabs them and says, here, you want to help? Like Jayananda Prabhu used to build the Rath Yatra carts just a few blocks from the San Francisco temple, where he'd put them back together again, and he'd always engage people. Can you hold this nail for a second? Do you know how to do this? You know how to use a hammer? Can you show me? And it's like, wow, you're really good at that. You want to do some more? And they're like, sure. And then 2 weeks later, the guy is in the temple. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to create a loving network to catch everybody and bring them in closer. What do you think some of the most famous dialogues are? in our circle? What would you say? The top 3 most famous. Which one? Arjuna and Krishna? Okay. Any other contenders? Yes? Parikshit and Shukadev. There's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy. Which one were you going to say? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy. What were they talking about? You know what the subject matter was?
Very confidential and esoteric topic, starting with something very simple. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu keeps asking him more and more.
So what did he ask him? What did he want to know?
He wanted to know the confidential topics of,
No, I mean the first question. What's he asking? Somebody get the Ramananda Roy section. Yes, go ahead, Srivasa.
If I'm not mistaken, he asks about pure devotional service and how one gets there. Or what's the necessity for it?
You said what? Well, that's his answer. But I really want to know what the question is. What's the question that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first asked him? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Good work. I'll say the Bengali and then you tell me what it means. Tomar mukhe Krishna katha shunite hoy man. Punarape pai jena tomar darashana. Yeah, I wish to hear from you about Lord Krishna. Indeed, my mind is inclined to desire this. Therefore, I wish to see you again. Ramananda Roy replied, My Lord, although you have come to correct me, a fallen soul, my mind is not yet purified simply by seeing you. Please stay for 5 or 7 days and kindly cleanse my polluted mind. After that much time, my mind will certainly be pure. That's why we should stay here now for 5 to 7 days. This would be like Naimisharanya. Ramananda Saka will do it. Don't tempt him, he'll do it. Although neither could tolerate separation from the other. This is sweet, listen to this. Although neither could tolerate separation from the other, Ramananda Roy nonetheless offered his obeisances to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and departed. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went to the house of the Brahmin who had invited him and took his lunch there. When the evening of that day arrived, both Ramananda Roy and the Lord were eager to meet each other again. After finishing his evening bath, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat down and waited for Ramananda Roy to come. Then Ramananda Roy, accompanied by one servant, came to meet him. Ramananda Roy approached Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and offered his respectful obeisances. And the Lord embraced him. Then they began to discuss Krishna in a secluded place. Prabhu kahe, Padashloka Sadyera Nirnay. Roy kahe, Swa Dharmacharane Vishnu Bhakti hoy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered Ramananda Roy recite a verse from the revealed scriptures concerning the ultimate goal of life, the UGL. Ramananda replied, if one executes the prescribed duties of his social position, he awakens his original Krishna consciousness. I'm just going to read a few verses until I get to the first verse that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepts. What verse is it? Does anybody know? I can't hear you. Chanting the holy name? Well, not exactly, not precisely. Okay. It's from the Bhagavatam, though. If that gives you a clue. Okay, we'll just get there and then that'll be it. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, is worshipped. So Ramananda Roy said, if one executes the prescribed duties of his social position, he awakens his original Krishna consciousness. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, is worshipped by the proper execution of prescribed duties in the system of Varna and Ashrama. There is no other way to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One must be situated in the institution of the 4 Varnas and Ashramas. That's his first answer. The Lord replied, this is external. You had better tell me of some other means. Ramananda replied, to offer the results of one's activities to Krishna is the essence of all perfection. What verse does he quote from the Bhagavad Gita? That means whatever you're doing, you should give to Krishna. Yakoroshi, Shanshi, Ishjohasi Dadasiyat. Tatkurishra Manarpanam. Very good. Ramananda Roy continued, my dear son of Kunti, listen everyone carefully, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer in sacrifice, whatever you give in charity, whatever austerities you perform, all the results of such activities should be offered to me, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhu Kohe, this is also external. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, please proceed and speak further on this matter. Ramananda Roy replied, to give up one's occupational duties in the Varnashram is the essence of perfection. Ramananda Roy continued, occupational duties are described in the religious scriptures. If one analyzes them, he can fully understand their qualities and faults and then give them up completely to render service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a person is considered a first-class man. What verse does he quote from the Bhagavad Gita? Just give everything up. Correct. As stated in Scripture, Bhagavad Gita 1866, after giving up all kinds of religious and occupational duties, if you come to me, the Supreme Personality of God, and take shelter, I will give you protection from all of life's sinful reactions. Do not worry. After hearing Ramananda Roy speak in this way, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again rejected his statement and said, go ahead and say something more. Ramananda Roy then replied, devotional service mixed with empiric knowledge is the essence of perfection. The UGL, he's looking for it. Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma. Ramananda Roy continued, according to the Bhagavad Gita, one who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. Prabhu kohe, eho bhaya age kahar means it's external. Can you say something more? After hearing this, the Lord, as usual, rejected it, considering it to be external devotional service. He again asked Ramananda Roy to speak further, and Ramananda Roy replied, pure devotional service without any touch of speculative knowledge is the essence of perfection. And here's the verse he quotes from the Bhagavatam. Jnane prayasa mudapasya namante eva jivanti sanmukaditam bhavadiyavartam stane stita shutikatam dhanuvan manobhir ye prayasho jitatito pyasitaistrilokyam. Ramananda Roy continued, Lord Brahma said, my dear Lord, those devotees who have thrown away the impersonal conception of the absolute truth and have therefore abandoned disgusting empiric philosophical truths should hear from self-realized devotees about your holy name, form, pastimes, and qualities. They should completely follow the principles of devotional service and remain free from illicit sex, gambling, intoxication, and animal slaughter. Surrendering themselves fully with body, words, and mind, they can live in any ashrama or social status. Indeed, you are conquered by such persons, although you are always unconquerable. What do you think Mahaprabhu said then? Yeah? At this point, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, this is all right, but still you can speak more on this subject. So it goes on from there, but that's the first verse that Mahaprabhu said, that's all right. And it's Brahma, after he stole the cowherd boys and calves, and then he saw Krishna's power. So he offered this verse, Stane stita shrutikattam tanavan manobhir, said that Jnane prayasam, completely give up the idea that you can understand God by your own intellect. Jnane prayasam udapasya namante. Jivanti san mukharitam bhavadiyavartam. And say, there's a life-giving substance, which is stane stita shrutikatam. Stane stita means you can stay in whatever position you're in now. You don't have to change anything drastically. You just have to add hearing and chanting. And worship the topics, the katha of Krishna, with your body, mind, and words. And he said, from that, he said, Stane stita shrutikatam tanavan manobhir ye prayasho jita jito, means that the ajita, the one who's unconquerable, becomes jita. He's conquered because the devotee develops prema from hearing about Krishna, and then Krishna becomes conquered by the love of the devotee. So that's the starting point of the conversation. And he goes deeper and deeper and deeper. It's a very confidential topic. It's all there in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we have many different confidential talks. This is revealed scripture. We actually get to listen in to the most advanced devotees talking to the Lord himself and amongst themselves. So the only hindrance to doing that is our own distraction. But if we can hear those topics, those confidential topics between Krishna and his devotees, then not only will we become educated in the spiritual science, but also we'll feel satisfied, naturally feel satisfied from hearing the topics. And if you're satisfied by hearing Krishna Katha, then you're safe from the material world. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. So just have a really quick bhajan and then we got to go because it's almost midnight. Right? Ready? Okay. Vanchakalpadrusha kripasindhabevacha patitanam pavanibhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha nantakoti vaishnavinikaya. Tuesday is Ekadashi. And Krishna mentions this in one of the Puranas, that my devotees, they follow all the holy days, and you don't have to fast, except for Anukalp, just take something simple. But he just mentions how a devotee is somebody who follows the different devotional days as much as possible. So just try to do something special on Ekadashi, and then also get ready for Kartik and Janmashtami. Any others? Huh? Balaram Jayanti, coming up soon. Hare Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada's 125th appearance day, coming soon. Hare Krishna.